Hello my friends, I am sure many of you are as excited as I am to freshen up our wardrobes for spring summer and maybe even add a couple of new pieces to our collections from some of our favorite designers. And while Hermes does have some incredible understated summer staples, there are some popular pieces from the brand that I personally wouldn't recommend that you spend your money on, including things like the Oran sandals, which I know it sounds outrageous, but do bear with me and hear me out. So without further ado, if you'd like to discuss which popular MS pieces I would not buy, no matter how unpopular I'm going to be, then make sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet, and keep on watching. Let's start with some bags that Hermes launches every single spring summer without exception, and I'm not exactly sure who buys these bags, but if you are one of those people or if you know someone who has bought these bags in the past, this is my very kind message to them. Please do not waste your money on these bags, which are going to be their dedicated beach bags. Now, I am going to say that these are bags, but they basically look like shoppers that you got from your local grocery store. They are these oversized large canvas tote bags, which yes, they might change the print slightly each and every single season, but the overall design, the style, and the shape remains the same. They're always these large, oversized canvas totes that feature the exact same nylon handles. And what Hermes says about these, what makes these special, and how they try to justify the ridiculous price tag, is that they say that they use a very similar method to create these as they do to print their scarves. And if you haven't seen my video on Hermes scarves, make sure to have it linked up here. And I not only share with you my entire collection, but we also talk about how Hermes scarves are made and what makes them so special. And very long story short, let me sum it up. What makes Hermes' scarf special, and I guess these bags too, is the way the prints are brought to life. Because let's take a print, for example, that features 10 different colors. If there are 10 different colors within a print, Hermes is going to go over that print 10 different times. They're going to print each and every single color as its own layer. So as you can imagine, it takes a lot longer than if they were just to print the entire print all at once, because they do have to go back and forth on different materials. So as you can imagine, it takes a lot longer to bring these prints to life this way than if they were just to print the whole thing all at once. And that's how Hermes tries to justify the prices of these beach bags, which they do come in some really fun, vibrant, summery, colorful prints, which personally, as you can tell, is not really my aesthetic. But even if it's yours, I do not think that you should spend a couple $1,000 on one of these bags, because yes, you heard me right, these bags start at $2,000 depending on the size and the shape. Each season they will tweak the shape slightly. They will always have the large, just sort of rectangular totes, but they will also come out with, I think they've done hobo bags, they have done more elongated totes in the past, which tend to be a little bit more expensive. But let me tell you, this does not look or feel like something that you spend thousands, genuinely thousands of dollars on. But anyway, let's move on to our next bag, which again is not something that I would spend money on. It's something that Hermes does play around with. They will launch it every few seasons, but let's be honest, there is nothing new about them, which are going to be their silk pouches. Now, what makes these silk pouches different from their actual scarves is the kind of silk that they use. So they use something called a technical silk, which is a lot more robust, they claim, than just their regular, really buttery, soft, silky silks. And they tend to use these to create different bags, different pouches for the current season. I think they're called the pillow couch, not to be confused with pillows. So there's no W at the end, but they're actually inspired by pillowcases, because they have this, I think they're leather lined, so they have a more sort of squishy feel to them. But I think they are around $1,700 depending on the size that you pick them up in. These pillowcases at this point make up an entire collection. There are smaller and larger cases, but I would not spend my money on any one of them, because they do look like a DIY project, not something that you got from Hermes. Not to mention that these pouches are quite small. They're not gonna do a lot for you. They might fit your phone and a credit card, but that's pretty much going to be it. I feel like you're better off just using one of your dust bags that you got with one of your Hermes purchases, because these are not going to look that much different. So please save your money and not buy one of these. Another ridiculous purchase that I do not want you to be tempted by, because I was, one of my first substantial purchases from Hermes was actually a bathrobe, I guess you could call it, or a dressing gown, because the one that I got was made of cashmere. But they do bathrobes and dressing gowns every single season. I feel like last year, was it the year before maybe, they did one that was a little bit more reasonably priced and a little bit more user friendly, that was made of like a towel material, like a terry cloth material, which I guess you could actually wear to the pool or to the beach, but they usually do them made out of cashmere, which, let me tell you, is not the most practical material to wear in the spring summer, especially if you're going to wear them to the beach. They are quite a pain to clean, not to mention that they will often use leather trims and leather details, which means that you will not be able to just throw them into your washing machine. You will actually have to get them specially dry cleaned. So bathrobes are not something that I would spend the money on, but Hermes does make them every single season. They have been making them for years and years and years, so I assume there is a market for it. And if you're thinking, should I be that person who wears an Hermes bathrobe to the beach? Please don't do it. I feel like accessories really come into their own in the spring summer, when we tend to wear a lot less layers. You can make a big impact with an accessory without adding on too many layers, especially in the heat. So one thing that I assume a lot of you are looking into are going to be belts, and I would say that you shouldn't buy yourself an H belt from Hermes at this point, because they are just a little bit overdone. And this is coming from someone who used to collect Hermes H belts. You guys have seen my Hermes belt collection, so you know that it's not something that I was always against, but at this point I feel like they are just a little bit too overdone, and dare I even say maybe a little bit too tacky. I mean, there are so many incredible understated designs that will add a lot more to an outfit without screaming and shouting the brand name. Two examples that I can give you, one of which actually features a little bit of an H, which is the Pop H belt. It is a thinner belt that features a tiny itty bitty tone on tone H on the side that is actually finished in an enamel finish. The CDC belt is back in production, so if you want all the statement without the obvious branding, the CDC belt is the way to go, but it is going to be quite an expensive one. I feel like it's not only layers that we tend to take off in the summer, but also leather bracelets, which can feel a little bit suffocating in the heat. I think a lot of people tend to go for metal pieces over leather jewelry, which I completely understand, but I would say to try to opt for fine jewelry when it comes to Hermes, which of course is going to be a larger investment to make, but it is going to be an investment that is going to last a lifetime. So I would not recommend that you buy any one of their popular fashion jewelry pieces that aren't made of leather. But at the same time, I would not recommend that you buy something as popular of a piece as the Kelly bracelet, which I know a lot of people adore. Especially, I feel like I see a lot of people stacking it with their love bracelets. And even though I'm not usually a fan of the love bracelet, I actually would prefer it over the Kelly bracelet, and let me explain why. So the Kelly bracelet is a hard shell bangle that features the Kelly twist closure, which, by the way, that mechanism is one of the most intricate and beautifully done mechanisms that I have ever seen. But that twist closure is the very reason I would not recommend that you invest in this piece, because I can tell you from personal experience that you will get stuck on every single thing that you come into contact with, simply because of the twist closure and the fact that the bracelet doesn't move, because it is a solid bangle. It doesn't have any give or any flex to it. Instead, you will get stuck on every single thing, and it is quite uncomfortable because there are, I think, only 4 different sizes to choose from, whereas when it comes to other bangles like Cartier's Love bangles, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but I have to give credit where credit is due, they do come in an extensive size range, whereas the Kelly bracelet only comes in a handful of different sizes, so there isn't going to be a size for everyone out there. So when you get stuck on something, it's either going to pull on you or it's going to be pulling on the piece that you get stuck on. And there is a really simple fix. If you love the Kelly twist closure, but you would like something that is a little bit more user friendly, get yourself something like a Kelly chain bracelet, which is a lot more comfortable to wear. And because it is a flexible chain, there is move and give to it, so you're not going to get stuck on things that often, and even when you do, it's easy to get yourself out of trouble. So the Kelly bracelet, as popular as they are, they're personally just not something that I feel the design was really well thought out. And last but not least, let's discuss my unpopular opinion, which is that in 2023, I don't think you should be wasting your money on things like the Oran sandals, the Izmir sandals, and especially not on the Chypre sandals, which even though they're not the same design, they are pretty similar, so I'm going to group them all into one. If I had to pick a favorite from the bunch, I would say that the Oran sandals are my favorite because I used to love the design. For a pair of flip-flop style shoes, they are quite flattering, and I even loved the minimalist design because that age was so simple. Not anymore, because I feel like at this point in 2023, they are just way too overdone. I mean, if you go to a nicer restaurant on the beach, if you go shopping in spring, summer, and you go to an area where there are a lot of luxury stores, I can guarantee that you will spot these shoes on every other person, if not on every single person. Not to mention that you can hear someone wearing a pair of Oran sandals from a mile away, just the way these shoes sound, because the sole is quite hard, they are not flexible, so you can hear the person's feet just sort of hitting against the sole of the shoes every single time they take a step. So they're not only annoying to wear, they're not the most comfortable either, which I don't own the Oran sandals, but I have the Izmir sandals, which are basically the men's version of these 8 sandals, which I have to say are a little bit less padded. But my friends who own the Oran sandals always say that at the beginning they are not the most comfortable because they're quite flat and there isn't too much padding to them. And let's be honest, they just don't belong in the city. I mean, if you're going to wear your Oran sandals to the beach, if you're going to wear them on a boat, if you're wearing them going from the pool to your cabana, fine. With a flowy dress, they look great, but they don't belong in the city. They do not look great with a more sophisticated dress. They don't look good with jeans or even regular pants, but the people who own them tend to think that they do, which is just not my personal aesthetic. So if you own the Oran sandals, I am by no means saying that you should throw them away, but I feel like at this point you can do a lot better. They are way overdone. So if you're thinking, should I start my Hermes collection with the Oran sandals, or should I add them to my collection in the 10th colorway, I personally would not waste my money. I know that they're one of those pieces that people will buy over and over and over again. But I feel like at this point, they just tend to drag an outfit down. They tend to take something that's so elegant and so sophisticated, or could be, and instead make them look and feel almost cheap, which I know is going to be an unpopular opinion. I know many of you will disagree with me, which is perfectly fine. We don't all have to love the same things, but at this point, it's just not something that I would spend my own money on, or I would feel comfortable recommending that you spend your own hard-earned money on. They're just too overdone. We've seen way too much of it. Every single person owns them, whether they own the original design or some sort of a dupe of it. I just don't think they're special, and if you're spending this kind of money, you do want the shoes to be comfortable, and you want something that will elevate an outfit instead of dragging it down, and you do not want to spend nearly $1,000 on something that every single person and their neighbor and their dog and their cat and their whoever has in some shape or form. I just think they're overdone. They are not the most comfortable. They don't go with everything, contrary to popular beliefs. So personally, the orange sandals are going to go on my no-go list from Hermes, and I know it's going to be unpopular, but that's truthfully what I think. And this actually brings us to the end of today's video, discussing what pieces I wouldn't buy from Hermes for spring summer. I hope you guys enjoyed hearing my thoughts, and I cannot wait to hear yours in the comment section. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more videos like this from me, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so yet. I really appreciate you being here and watching, and I hope to see you back here with a new video really soon.